We have a story of 400 years old that the people that was working on making cider. We have more than 50 different cider house in the territory with tunnel barrels and also mills. And there was a huge economics business in the territory.
Hello, my name is Ria Windcaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world. Into episode 485 of Cider Chat was Carlos Flores. He was speaking at CiderCon 2025 on his edible forest, and it is a really cool presentation, and you're in for a treat because the entire presentation was synced with the PowerPoint. So if you aren't listening on the Cider Chat YouTube channel right now, you're kind of you'll be able to listen no problem and get a lot of value, no doubt. But I do want to kind of push you over to that channel because there you're going to be able to see it all, including me talking right now in my little mini Cider Chat Central studio. And the talking palms are somewhere, but they're never here when you need them. So if you're looking for them, well, stay tuned. I guess they'll always pop in and out at some point. Probably not this episode because it's a whammy. So it's 2026. We're ringing in the new year. This episode is really delightful, as you heard him talking about 400-year-old trees and the fact that there's 50 cider makers in the region. Chile has it going on. And this is one of two episodes I'm going to be rolling out. This first one with Carlos, and then he and another group of Chileans who were in Chicago last January, I believe it was, are going to be speaking about the country. And again, that's going to be synced with the PowerPoint there. So if you haven't subscribed yet to Cider Chat or hit the follow button, I highly recommend you do it now because this is one country that kind of came, I know, as a bit of surprise to folks. We hadn't really been thinking of Chile as a cider country, but it sounds like if you've listened to the past episode I had with Eli Shanks, who will also be on this episode because he was working with Carlos. He actually works with Carlos at the cidery called Punta de Fierro. And Eli did a fantastic job on talking about the history of Chile as he knows it and just bringing us into this epic history, really, truly is. So when we're looking at cider making countries like the U.S., which is only 1776, right, moving forward, not a lot on cider history there in the archives or written history of the U.S. Some, as you will hear in the last episode with Patrick McCauley on rethinking the American history of cider making. But when we look at really big countries in cider, we're thinking about the UK, we're thinking about France, and of course, Spain, which really appears from all vantage points predating everyone for cider making. So it might go to figure then in Chile with the Spaniards coming that they would have apples there. And indeed they do. And although I don't think there's any DNA testing going on, they have their whole, as of 400 years, obviously a whole bounty of different apples that have come into fruition, and I'm sure they could claim as their own. So a lot to be watching for this country. I'm super excited to finally be sharing this with you. And of course, before we get to this point, a wee bit of news from out and about in Ciderville. Let's just kind of first start with January. We're all just kind of landing. This is a time of wassail. So if you aren't familiar with that term, we do have an episode or two on what a wassail is. I also have a great short on the Cider Chat YouTube channel on how to make your own torch for a wassail. And I'll be attending a wassail. Perhaps you will be too. And this is a real celebratory event that takes place by an apple tree. There's toast involved. There's lots of cider, both cider for the kids and cider for the adults. So if you have never attended a wassail, check one out. There is stuff happening all over the globe now. This is really something that we credit our friends in the UK for really bringing forward. But now it's taking place everywhere. And I think we're all the better for it. So do check that out. In January is kind of like that mid-winter point, even though winter just started in December 21st officially, solstice. Yeah, this is when it's happening. So anywhere around January 6th, going up into that time. In some places, they even push it further up because weather is so insane. So wassail, it's a wonderful time. Then in February, we have CiderCon 2026. That's taking place in Providence, Rhode Island. I will be there. Cider Chat will be there doing some interviews. So do send a note my way. Tell me if you're going to be hanging out in Providence. I would love to meet up and raise a glass. Coming up on April 18th is the Cider Salon in Hungary. That's going to be taking place in a city outside of Budapest, and I will be attending, and I'm so excited. It's the first ever cider salon. I'm going to get to meet up with Antje Gergely, who is a friend of mine now. She's been on 2 Totally Cider tours, the French tour and then the UK cider tour, and she's a powerhouse. Let me just say that. And she's setting up this incredible event that is bringing in a lot of regional cider makers. So if you can make it to Hungary, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because my research going on right now about the country, it is phenomenal. And the cider that's happening there, I've had Antje cider. That's the only Hungarian cider I've had at this point. Really, really good. And the future looks bright. So yeah, Hungary in April 18th. And then just about a week later or so is the UK Blossom Time Tour. So this is going into Roger Wilkins' cidery. I was there when he was pressing, and he had his team, and there's a little ladder bringing all the apples up to the crusher. Just beautiful apples in that area. And you might be able to see that was taken in October 2nd of 2024. There's Roger going up the hill carrying buckets of apples. He was picking apples. And if you don't know who Roger Wilkin is, he is known as the Cider King. And we're definitely making a stop there. It's one of those meccas that cider makers want to go around the world. That's one of many. And that is in Somerset, where we'll be landing. Then we'll also be in Wales, we'll be in Herefordshire, Gloucestershire. This is an incredible tour. So if you haven't gotten the details on that, do go to the tab at ciderchat.com, Totally Cider tab, and check out the Blossom Time Tour. The registration is there, and get signed up, because we're going to be heading there on April 27th through May 3rd. So we'll be there for the first week of May. Very exciting time. That is one of the tours this year. There is another one, because in the fall, in September, is the French Cider Tour. And the last one I did in France was in 2022. I did one in 2022, 2024, and here we are 2026. So kind of looking at every other 2 years. But truthfully, Ciderville, I never know. This could be the last year that I'm leading tours. Who knows? So, one thing we know, life is short. And if you're kind of sitting on the fence, I mean, I don't know. What can I say? Do it. Sign up for the tour. We'd love to see you. All that could be found at ciderchat.com. Walking through the orchards. Time now for our featured presentation, which was titled at CiderCon 2025 as Developing an Experimental Edible Forest in a Heritage Apple Orchard. You're going to be hearing from Michelle McGrath, who was our CEO of the American Cider Association leading up to this conference. So without further ado, let's all grab a glass and join this chat.
My name is Michelle McGrath. I will introduce our speaker. Carlos Flores is an architect and landscape designer from Punta Arenas, Chile, with an extensive experience in territorial planning, eco-construction, and community-focused projects. Over the past 5 years, he has worked in southern Chile, where he discovered the untapped potential of heritage apple orchards, some over a century old, and their ability to regenerate soil. A pioneer in the application of agroforestry techniques to rejuvenate traditional apple and fruit orchards in Patagonia, Carlos is dedicated to preserving local ecosystems while revitalizing agricultural practices. He is the CEO and co-founder of Punta de Fierro Fine Cider and Corfo Innova, award-winning initiative that promotes local traditions through a sustainable, community-driven approach. Welcome, Carlos.
Thanks everyone for being here, and it's grateful to see people that want to know more about my experiment in Chile. Probably all of you here has sometime dream about its own homestead. That is my dream. This is my journey about that. This presentation, of course, is about an edible forest, but also is about the community, the biodiversity, and of course about cider. The first three topics are about my story, why I'm here today. So all this start there, the beautiful place. That is Patagonia. It's an open, huge space where the limit is just the horizon. In that place, we don't have clear borders, and also we don't have physical limit with Argentina. So both culture, Argentina and Chilean culture, are mixed together. That is why we talk some of the tradition from both sides, and we used to drink Argentinian cider there in that place. I was born in that city, that is Punta Arenas, is a full color city in front of Strait of Magellan. That city is where this continent starts. It's very far away from here. I studied there, I grew up there, and I tried for first time cider in that beautiful place with lamb, of course. We used to eat lamb and drink cider in all holidays, Christmas and New Year's. Then, after 18 years, when I was 18 years old, I moved to Santiago, the capital city of Chile, to study architecture. And I spent 20 years in that capital study and working. But after 20 years, I decided to move to Valdivia, in the northern of Patagonia. This city is different to Patagonia. It's full of green, rainforest, lake, river, also a huge tradition of cider in that place. So I decided to buy a piece of a lot of 3 acres next to Valdivia, 15 minutes north to Valdivia. In that lot, there was a huge, huge Chilean oak of 250 years old in the middle of the field, but also in a small corner, there was an old apple orchard, half hectare, 28 apple trees in that corner. And was in that moment that I thought I remember about cider. So at that point, I have the good idea to make my own cider. And I thought that could be nice if somebody can help me and teach me to make my own cider for my family and my friends. I was looking for 1.5 years somebody that can help me. But some moment, a friend of mine told me that it was a guy, North American guy, that was to use to make cider in Valparaiso, in the center of Chile. So immediately, I called that guy. That guy was Eli Chang, this man. Today is my business partner, making cider in the south of Chile. Eli came to my house in Valdivia. He tried my experiment the year before, very weird, and was very patient with me because I said, Eli, I have 2 days, maybe three. Can you teach me to make cider? Was very, well, okay. Eli said, yes, I can teach you. But after the end of the second day, Eli said, Carlos, could be good, well, could be better if we were together doing cider for our family and our friends than to teach you just in 2 days because I have a lot of stuff and knowledge about cider. So I said immediately, yes, please, we can work together. So the next season, we harvest our apple orchard and we start to work together. And it was very fun time because we used that bicycle that Eli made 2 years before to make his own cider. That's very fun time. But we spent after that, we spent a few months talking, walking around the apple orchard and talking about cider. And sometime we realized, and I realized that those kind of apple orchard has a name. They're very deep in study in for the University of Valdivia. They has a name. They call it Heritage Apple Orchard. Why? What is a heritage apple orchard? Where are very old trees, 100 or more than 100 years old, with Moses in his branches, some of them in the ground, but it's still giving apple. So they're beautiful. And also, those kind of apple orchard has a pattern. Each tree are between 20, 25 feet each tree, and around 10 or 15 kind of apples in the same place. And we start to looking for in the territory if there were more of that kind of heritage apple orchard. And we find something very special. There was a small community that was keeping safe that kind of apple orchard, mainly women. So we have today two Andreas, two Patricias, two Irenes, yeah, okay, Giovanna, Francisca, mostly women that save and love this kind of heritage apple orchard, and they used to make its own cider or chicha that we call there. And also we find two mills, old mills, 150 years old mills in this territory. And those guys work hard in the season for during 4 months, grieving and pressing all the apple that we have in the territory. But the third thing that I realized that those kind of heritage apple orchard has different kind of apple in this territory. So in Valdivia, we have more than 200 kind of unique kind of apples here, and they are specific apples for make cider. Was the most amazing thing that I found, but we are realizing that point that this has a story more longer than the age of that trees. So we have a story of 400 years old. The the people that was working on making cider. We have more than 50 different cider house in the territory with tunnel barrels and also mills. And there was a huge economics business in the territory. They made more than 50,000 gallons per year in this region. I know that is not too much for you, but for this region was a lot. So for them was very important this business. But in 1950, this business start to get down because the beer business get up in this territory. But after 25 years working until today, the community joined together to start to grow up this business again. So today we have the mills. We are recovering some mills, and also we have more than 25 brand of cider in this territory, and probably more than 2,000 chichas of cider that the people make its own homestead. At this point is was very important to me because I have the community, I have the story of cider, but there was something missing to me as a landscape architect. So at that point, that was in 2020. At that point, I thought that could be beautiful if I can join those elements in just one idea. I thought that could be good to make my own edible forest using this structure. What is an edible forest? Well, there are a lot of information about edible forests in the internet. To me, it's amazing because we can copy to or rescue some structure of from that kind of forest for grow my own food. That was my idea. So now we have the pattern. Those are the pattern. Each tree between 25 feet, and it's very clear, and you can copy, you can find all those pattern in the territory. This is a rainforest that you can find in Patagonia and Valdivia. So the layers are trees, shrub, herb and ground cover. So my idea was to use that layers and to reproduce that in my heritage apple orchard. Why? Because I have the medium high layer in my apple orchard, the apple trees. So just I have to put the first layer, the ground cover layer. If not, if I want to start from zero, I need at least 10 or 15 year working to growing my trees. So was for me was voila, I can use this structure to make my own edible forest. As a landscape architect, I have my own office. It's called plano a mano, that means plan by hand, because I used to draw a lot. So I start to draw my own master plan, and I use circles, a lot of kind of circles with different kind of size. And in parallel, I study the territory. This is my piece of my land. Is in green color is my field, and black and white is the neighbor field. That is very interesting because you can see the pattern here and green dots, and also you can see some yellow dot that mean that there was tree that fallen down. You will see that the pattern was bigger. The original apple orchard was in all this territory. I thought that could be beautiful if I can try my experiment in my field and maybe see if there is difference between them. They used to put the trees between 22 25 feet each, and the trees are tall and they have a trunk of 7 feet. The first step was to prune the trees because they are very wild and high, at least almost some of them 40 feet high. That was too much, and also was danger because in winter time some of them go down. I decide to prune, and that will be good for more sun for my apple orchard, my future edible forest, and also was very easy to harvesting the apple. And the second one was to clean the center of the canopy because there was a lot of branches in the trees. And the third here, you can see how the flower to the next season was beautiful and looks better. And I hope that the apple will be better also. And the third step was to cut all the grass under canopies, the edible forest, because we don't have animal here. So was necessary to cut all the grass and start to walk around that to define our design. So in that point, we worked with Eli in that place. That was in 2021, something like that. And we decide that we need to leave clean the area under the trees because we are cider makers. So we need to harvest the apples in season. So we need to change the edible forest in that way. So we need to leave clean those areas. So that was the third line of design, guide of design. So we leave free those areas in green. We define some areas in yellow where we put all the plant that we need for our edible forest. So here you can say that was 4 years ago. You can say the old edible heritage apple orchard, and in yellow one you can see the areas that are free, and all the other areas are available to put all the plantation or the different kind of plant in this area. So it's around 50% free areas and 50% plant. And also in the center, I left open space. If this work could be a very nice place for do something there, a workshop, I don't know. So I start to looking for in the territory what kind of plant we can use in this project. Well, because it's enormous the quantity of plant that we need to use in this kind of project. So it's impossible to me to buy all those plants. We need 1,000 plants, so it's too much. So we start to looking for in the territory what kind of plant we can use in that place that grow easily and maybe are wild and we can reproduce in an easy way. So we want to start with the first layer, the ground cover. So we start using the plant that grow wild in the territory, like some berries. We have a lot of kind of berries there. So we use that berries on flowers like calafate and murta. They are native plant and also are important because you can have a little bit economic system if you want to sell that kind of berries. They are very good berries. That is also important. So start to plant. This is the first area that start. This is a piece of land is 15 feet wide and 45 feet long. Here you can see in that corner all the plant that you will use. Some of them are in English, some of them. And the layers, that is very important because here is the first layer that it made. We need to cover all this area because we need to kill the grass and also cover the territory because we have too much sand and we don't want to water it too much. This was the first step. Then the second year, we put those kind of fruit trees, the medium high level, and then 4 and 5 months ago, we put the last one layer with huge trees, nature trees, Chilean oak, mitre, laurel. So we have less of those, of course, some trees, big trees. Then we have more fruit trees and a lot of those were a little bit not so expensive because we use the plantation, the kind of plant that we have in the territory. So this is the first start. We have the current layer, the apple trees. So this is our first and just grass. Then the second year, we start with the ground cover and some fruit trees, some because we have around 50 kind of apple trees here, but we want to eat plum also, peach and different kind of fruit. So it's good to put more kind of fruit trees because we need more biodiversity here. That is the idea, to improve the biodiversity. So the last year we put those, but they are small, just this size. Those are very interesting because there is a guy that helped us. He said, Carlos, you need more huge trees in your edible forest. You need the big layer for the future. So we decide to put this kind of tree. Those are called Chilean oak. They live 400 years. So I have time for they make this. And also we can prune this kind of tree and they drop the leaves. So it's beautiful because you will have, I don't know, in 100 years, you can come here in 100 year more, and you will see different kind of umbrellas in under, yes, on the top of the my edible forest. That is sustainability. So we use the branches because we prune the trees, the apple trees. We have a lot of grass and straw, and I don't know why, but I have 1,000 of those cardboard. We start to kill the grass, and also we need to improve the soil. Why? Because that territory, that apple orchard, they were animals for the last, I don't know, 300 years. So the soil is very hard. So we need to improve a little bit. I don't have too much time, so I wait just one season, and this is the same area. So you can see the path and also some uh, plant that we put, mainly the berries. We have berries and some herbs. You can see the path is 4 feet because I have a small tractor we use for the harvesting the apples. And here you see 8 feet wide because we thought that could be good if you can go in to that area and grow food. And here in this picture, you can see the open area in the center, and also you can see the plant areas. Like the idea was to have less grass and more biodiversity. This is the start, the access point. 3 years ago, in the same place, you were able to see my neighbor's house. But today, you can't. That is good. That means we have more biodiversity, and also you can see more colors in the territory. That picture was 5 months ago. You can see more pictures, more colors, and also this is my neighbor. She has a lot of bees. That is perfect to me. Those bees use my flower. That was in the last spring. And it's important because you can see our meteorological station because Carlos loved the data. So, yes, could be a problem sometimes. So, I talked with the University of Valdivia and they open a meteorological station for the territory. That is good. Why? Because Valdivia was to have more than 2,000 millimeters per year of rain. That is a lot. It's the most rainy city in Chile. But today it's getting down. The weather is changing in that place. And we have today at least close to 1,400 millimeters per year. 40% less is a lot for this, for everybody. That is why it's important to cover the territory. Today, we have 3 months very dry, and the plant used to die. So we need to watering. That is very weird in this place, but we need to watering for 2 or 3 months. We understand that we need to open the space to the community. They know a lot about no edible forest, but at the nature, about the kind of plant. So we open this space. So we receive today for free people that want to know about this experiment. And also we made workshop about edible forest in the same place. And we work close with the University of Valdivia for have more data. That was important because we are improving our design with the community. This guy is a very famous guy, the first one, and we are looking for different ways to use a specific plant that we can have in this territory because it's getting hot now. The weather is changing, so we need to choose the plant that grow better in the territory. And also, we talk with the community, and so we save the wool from the lamb to make mulch. Yes. And we built a small greenhouse because, we need a lot of plant and reproduce it. And if the community love this idea, they can copy. That is one of my ideas. These are my new trees, the native trees, the big one trees, for the next season. I will put those trees in my edible forest in 2 months more. And also, we create a summer school for the kids of the territory between 5 and 11 years old. So they play close to the edible forest and know about this kind of method, and also they can build something with the plant that grow in that edible forest. In specific, this is pita. Used to build basket with pita, so they used to do the same thing. Here, this is my neighbor apple orchard. It's not bad For me, it's not bad. It's just different. You see the bees, and also she has a lot of lamb here in this territory. But it's okay. Everybody here in this territory has the same thing, the same apple, heritage apple orchard. But if you turn a little bit, you will see this. It's the same day, same time, and you see less grass, not so hot, not too much sun, more biodiversity. My dream was working, but wasn't enough for Carlos. So I decide if I want to have a huge biodiversity system, a hotspot of biodiversity, I thought that could be nice. If I can make a huge hole in my field to save rainwater. Because I told you, we have 3 months, dry months, but in the rest of the year, we have a lot of rain. So maybe I thought that we can keep some part of that rain, saving that dam or artificial pond with a liner course, and then used to watering the edible forest. So at that point, we return to the cider. So we decide to build our own cider house of 650 square feet of roof. So because I thought that that is enough for say 25 gallon of water per year. I calculate that could be enough to use for produce our cider. Why? Because after a few years working with Eli and our cidery, I realized that we need for produce 1 bottle of cider, we need 3 or 4 bottles of water. Well, to me was too much, too much. I didn't know that. So I said, well, I don't like that. So we applied a government fund. They give us money for build this system. So we put 2 tank for say 25 gallon per year, enough for make our bottle of cider. Then make drinkable the water because we are using for make cider, and the wastewater we try. At the end, we tried that wastewater with this system, a biofilter. We are using the grass of the plant that we have in the territory. Those roots clean, trade the wastewater. So after here, we have a very clean water. This is another experiment that I made in my house for trade my gray water. So today I have this. So it works. I was talking with the people from the university, and they say that the water that get out from this biofilter is good. I decided that we need to improve the system. So we put the cider house in the highest point into the field because I love to work with the gravity, less energy. So we save the rain in those tanks, and then we move the wastewater to the biofilter that is next to the cider house. Then, by gravity, we collect all the water here in the dam or artificial pond. And also, we put water plant into the artificial pond. Why? Because Carlos need more biodiversity. So today we can have birds, frogs, insects, a huge biodiversity. We use that lagoon to water the edible forest. In the background, you can see the future edible forest. I have a video. I made this video 5 months ago because we made a workshop about edible forest. Today, we are working hard to improve the economic system that we have in the rural areas, in the countryside. So that is why important to show the people, the women that are working here, and this system, this idea, this experiment is open. Eli, I will love if you want to say something in proper English.
Hi, everybody. I mean, I think Carlos really said everything there is to say. When we found each other, it was like, love at first sight. So we really just had to work together. And now that we've been in the territory for a while, you really feel the change that people are feeling from what we've done so far. Like the idea that we've come down there with, Carlos didn't mention this, but news programs have come down to see these women in their fields, these people who, they don't see a lot of people out there, and now people want to come see what they have to show, these different old orchards. And we really see cider as the opportunity when it comes to like, how can these people make what they have, this huge value that they have, and help them turn it into an economic value. Just the fact that we're buying apples from them is a huge difference. These orchards that used to be, sort of forgotten and a very small part in terms of like the income of the household, if anything at all, are now one of their main sources of income. And so what used to be sort of like something that they keep on the side of the field and they don't think about now is something that they are working to protect, and even planting more trees, replacing the ones that fall down. And so that's what we see. Like the cider is really the answer when it comes to helping them make money with these plants, because apples on their own, they're not such a great business. So we're really happy to see that, and really glad to be here to share it with y'all. So thank you.
I was just wondering if you had any concerns early on or any issues over pruning. You said your trees were 35 feet tall, and
Yes.
I was wondering if, yeah, you had any issues like over pruning, basically.
Yes, we have some issues because that tree was fine and wild. And after prune, some of them lose some branches because there was, I don't know, they have a very good structure. So it's not so easy to prune it. So that is why we are working with a guy from the University of Valdivia to decide what branch we need to cut. I don't know too much about that. He worked with us and he decide what kind of branching. And also we made that in a step. The first year we cut less than third part of the trees. The second year we have a lot of chupones. We say that in Chile. Chupones that huge branches that they have a lot of energy. So the second year we took those branches and we open and we put a rope and how do you say that, Eli? Tied, yeah, yeah. So that was this is the second year, and the third one we cut again, but the side, the wide side. But yes, it's an experiment. So yeah, it's okay. Today it's okay, but yes, it's not easy to me. Yes, that is why we work with the people from the university. They have more experience than me.
This might be a question for Eli. I realize you're only 3 years, but I'm just curious if in the food forest you're starting to suspect any kind of trends in the data of what's being, either rainfall, apple production, anything like that. I realize it's only 3 years, and so the patterns might not have established yet, but are you starting to suspect anything in the data?
I feel that the edible forest is a little bit less hot, and also we have it's supposed, but I don't have too much study about that and that about that because we need to pay for that. You know, we have too much money for us. But it's supposed that our apple are very good and the size of the apple are getting better and the quality, but we don't know about that. My next project is to make a test of the soil because I want to know if we have more biodiversity, more life on it, more air, but I have to pay for that. And also I want to test my field and the neighbor field. That is my next project. I can be here in the next year and maybe talk about that. Yeah, but yes, a lot of ideas.
Hi, I just was wondering if you could talk more about the choice for Eli to not really be a consultant but to work together. How are you finding the properties around you are receiving this new method, are they stopping to mow their lawns as much? Like, are you effective in the community that way?
Yeah.
Working together.
Well, for them, well, I'm a weird person because I have been lived there for the last 6 years, just that, from Santiago, the capital city. And also my house has clay in the wall, and also my roof has a lot of grass, and just grass, and different kind of plant. So it's weird. It's weird. But they love the project, and that is why we opened the project to the community, and we work in summer school with the community, because it's important to me that they see if this works, because could be, as Eli said, could be good for them if they can experiment in its apple orchard, because I was thinking that maybe in the future we can have a small business and we can sell fruit or food from those apple orchard, organic food, I don't know, from those apple orchard. So today it's just open. I don't know. And I don't ask too much. We have a lot of time. I have 400 years. It's okay.
Do you engage or use fungus as part of your food forest in the underlayment? And how do you feel about disease pressure on the apple trees? Are your trees healthy? Do you have to fight disease? And how would you do that?
No, we don't use now we are not using that kind of fungus. But it's the next step. We want to try something in there. And yeah, we have some diseases, but today we don't do much about that. Is to me it's a lot of job. It's just Carlos doing this and a lot of volunteer people there. So it's too much. So after 6 years living in the countryside, I realized that sometimes you need to live it. Yeah, sometimes if the chicken, for example, I had 20 chickens, so they used to die all the time. So today I don't have chickens. It's better, yes, less work, less job. So maybe it's the same with the plant or the trees. We put a lot of trees, and each year, because the dry season, we lose a lot of trees. And also today, we are experiment with a method called Miyawaki. You know that, no? Yes, we put a lot of tree in this system. In one, I don't know, 1 square meters, you put 5 trees, huge trees. So they compete, fight. They grow very fastly. So that is good. And in that case, we don't need to water it too much because they create more shape. We are trying with that. Also, we put that wacky forest next to the cidery, because the cidery, as you know, we don't need too much hot or warm air in it. So we put that kind of forest in front of the cidery. Of course, I need 20 years more for that, but it's working. Today it's working. I don't have picture about that, but it's working. It's very beautiful. In a size of this size, I have more than 30 kind of trees.
Have you noticed an increase in like pest management? We have a lot of problems with voles. So I didn't know if that was an issue that you were seeing with having an additional like ground layer, like just having pests attack your trees.
No, but we have a lot of slag. But to me, it's okay. Yes, it's just life. But I don't know. You see, just 3 years or almost 4 years. Yes, I need more time to testing.
Looking at your decisions for the ground cover, why those?
That is important. If you want to build this kind of edible forest, you must to decide or configure vegetal associations, that we call it vegetal association. So we choose a different kind of vegetal association with help. There is a guy that was help us. So we choose different kind of vegetal association with consuelda, mint berries, different berries. So we have a pattern that we move and copy. But sometimes some of those plants grow very fastly, and maybe are a problem, but doesn't matter because you can cut them. So now the important thing in the first layer is to cover the territory, and then you can improve your design. And it's okay. You can improve, you can cut, you can move, you can do anything that you want. It's your experiment, so it's okay. But maybe my idea is in the future, if somebody want to copy that, I can say, well, this works better. You can copy this, or you can start with this. But I need time for that. I don't have that answer today.
I had a question in terms of the upfront funding available to you to establish
Yeah.
the cider house and all of the plantings. I know that things like seedlings and plants can cost a lot of money. And I was wondering if you could talk about what sort of private investments or government grants you were able to obtain to
Well,
really invest in the land.
yeah, in Chile, we have a lot of kind of fund that you can apply. We built the cider house with its own money, but using this cider house and our product, Punta de Fierro, was the excuse to use the government money to improve our edible forest because we apply for a fund to improve our cider business. So we say to the government that could be good idea to have the first edible forest cider, for example. So they say, okay, Carlos, it's good idea. So yes, it's not too much money, but it's enough to start our project. So as Eli said before, it's important to work around this business, the cider. This is excuse, or I don't know, to make all this project possible because it's yes, you need time and money for make this.
I'm curious about the fourth level of trees
Yes.
and the, importance of making sure to plant, old or native trees, like you were saying, the Chilean oak, I think
Yes.
is. And I'm curious about, and I might have just missed this, but with your apple trees generally needing full sun,
Yes.
and I mean, I know those aren't growing next year over the trees, but is there a plan for when those trees, would get much taller over and
Yes.
shade out?
Yeah. Here's a plan. I'm working on it. No, but no.
You got time.
Yeah, yes, 400 years. Yes, yes, there is something. The answer is the first answer, I think, is we can change everything. We can cut the trees if we need it. We can make wood if we need it. And also, we can prune that trees like umbrellas. So it's okay. But also, we study the sun. So it's okay, I think. It's okay. Maybe we need at least, I don't know, 20 years. Maybe in 20 years more or 30 years more will be a problem. Maybe. I don't know. For now, it's okay because those apples has more than 100 years old. So I don't know if they will be there in 40 years or 30 years more. So we can talk in 30 years more. But today we can change everything. We can cut the tree, we can move, we can put more trees. Today, my idea is put a lot of that kind of Chilean oak, a lot. I want to feel that I am in a forest, a real forest. And then, of course, if I see that is not good for my apples, I can put or cut trees or put another my apples outside the forest or next to the borders. I don't know. I know that this could be a issue if you are making cider. Could be.
I have another question too,
Yeah.
just real quick. Are you doing soil tests as well?
No
Like, are
yet.
not yet?
No yet.
Okay.
I will love, but not
I
yet.
want to know all about it.
Are you noticing any change in the quality of the apples for cider making?
The main effect we've seen from this project has been the pruning. So the pruning, we've done it in stages, and this is a methodology that was created there at the university by another Carlos named Carlos Martinez. And he developed this because he knew that most of the orchards wouldn't want him to do anything if they would not be producing again. So instead of doing a full prune the way that like most rejuvenation prunes are done here, he does sort of like a half job, and he only does it to some of the trees. But then those trees for that next year don't produce a lot. And so we've noticed changes in our blend. because we get, like, if we prune, a sixth, which is pretty much what we've been doing, a sixth of the trees, and then those trees are not producing well for at least a year. So that's the main thing we've noticed so far, but not in the change of quality.
I'm just thinking of natural growth and native growth of trees and apple. They're a mid layer, anyways.
Yes.
Where they grow naturally, and there's taller trees.
Yes.
And thinking of like coffee, for instance, which is a shrub that could grow naturally to 8 feet or so.
Yeah.
Shade grown coffee also is a thing, and so why not have shade grown apples?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's working now.
Thank you, Carlos and Eli.
Okay. Thanks to you.
Watching that presentation and seeing what he did, where he dug out this area to create this water reserve for the trees there, and just in general, just the whole scene just is absolutely delicious. So well done on the edible forest. You have me just on edible forest, never mind the presentation. We will be following the story further along. I have had Punta de Fierro, the cider itself, and other Chilean ciders, and this is a very rich country in terms of fermenters. We think of Chile in terms of winemaking and that whole culture there, but cider is up and coming, as I think it's also true for the rest of the world. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, and this, to me, is a really hopeful way to enter 2026. So if you haven't hit the follow button yet, please do, because there's more Cider Chat to come as we are slowly rolling up to episode 500 of Cider Chat. And as always, thanks to all the patrons of Cider Chat who help keep this podcast on the air each and every week. You too can become a patron. Just search for Cider Chat and Patreon. That's spelled Patreon. And with that, I leave you here. This is Rio Wind Caller signing off for now. Looking forward to seeing you in Ciderville. There is a reason why we do it like this.
Yeehaw!